Oh, hey, just finishing this. It's a good book. Okay. Anyways, just want to do another one. This one's going back to the more serious stuff instead of just the either sillier stuff or the general stuff. This one's going to be, I guess, a little bit more serious, though. It's also going to maybe add to the infamy part. I've mostly been talking about political stuff, haven't touched on the religious stuff yet. And I personally find that a bit amusing because growing up, I tended to have a lot more religious debates than political ones. It's just been a little bit since college that I've been more toward the whole political thing when I started looking around seeing just how effed up things were. But my background is, believe it or not, more toward religious debates because as somebody growing up with parents that had two completely different religious views, you tend to have an interesting view on things as far as the whole religion goes. And when both parents also tell you to not take things for granted and to look beyond and see the BS from within, well, yeah, you tend to piss a lot of people off when they're stuck in one particular view. Now, for those that know me, they might think that I'm about to go into another one of my patented, back then patented faith-destroying rants, but I'm actually not going to do that now, unless provoked, or unless I happen to see or hear something that really gets me on my nerves. I've sort of mellowed out a lot over the years, so I don't actively go after religious believers as I used to. These days, I believe that whatever religion you want to believe, you can believe it. I don't care how silly it may sound. My biggest beef is against the fanatics, and whenever I bump into a fanatic and they tend to try to jump me just because I don't happen to believe in the same invisible person that they do, I then go off. But I'm not even going to go that far today, though this is directed toward the fanatics, which is funny considering that they're probably going to reject everything I'm going to say, and I'm not even going to be all that harsh or try to lambast them or anything. It's just a piece of advice that I want to give them, specifically the ones on YouTube. Most likely they won't listen, but I hope that they do because it's for their own good. It's for their own benefit and their own peace of mind. My piece of advice is this. Stop trying to prove your views on YouTube. It's not working. At least it's not working against those who actually think logically. I was trying to avoid saying think clearly. It's just more think logically, and I picked that term specifically for a reason. I've been looking around YouTube. I mean, if you look at my subscriptions, or if you happen to look at the things I favorite, I mean, it runs the gamut, but you might notice a few atheist type stuff there because they tend to make the most sense. Inadvertently, by clicking on those, I also see their video comments, and it's usually full of fanatic rebuttals. And I tend to click on those. Usually I click on those to see if there's any intelligent answer among them. And as in growing up and dealing with these type of debates, it's pretty much nil that you will find an intelligent answer from a Christian fanatic. They usually come up with flawed logic or just straight up accusations and insults rather than actually dealing with what's being said. And whether they think it makes them look cool among their friends, it actually makes them look like idiots. And I'm saying this as calmly and as politely as I can. You guys, the fanatics out there are really looking just phenomenally idiotic, to the point, and some of them have even gotten a name for themselves as being morons. I don't have to mention them, you guys know who they are. Well, I'll mention one, what is it, Venom X or something like that. That's one famous name. Jesus Freak is another one. I look at their stuff and it's gotten to a point where I'm looking at their stuff with kind of a morbid sort of amusement, like, okay, maybe they might come up with something that might actually make me go, that's a point. Sadly, they haven't. So I'm putting this up in the hopes that, well, I doubt that the fanatics are going to be watching my channel anyway, except if they're trying to look for material to lambast. But for those free-thinking types or atheist types who deal with these people on a general basis, maybe you can spread the message. You don't necessarily have to link to the vid, but just spread the message. Do whatever you can, just to let them look. Whatever your belief is, whatever you hold to, stop trying to convince people of it in YouTube. It's not going to work. The only people you're going to convince are the easily confused, who aren't really worth convincing anyway, and people who are already on your side, other fanatics who will agree with you. Yeah, but they already agree, so what's the point? The reason why I say this is not because, I'm not saying that, you don't have a right to express your view here. You don't have a right to express whatever view you want. It's just that you can't prove any of the stuff that you're saying, and therefore it just makes you look idiotic. I happen to have plenty of beliefs. Some of them are grounded in facts. Some of them I can't prove whatsoever. The ones that are grounded in facts are the ones I tend to champion and the ones I tend to push. Hence my vids. The ones that I can't prove whatsoever, I keep to myself. Even if I believe I am completely right in that belief I have, I don't really mention it, because if I can't prove it, all I'm doing is setting myself up for failure. See, there's this pesky thing called logic, which fanatics just seem to hate, or they think they employ it and they don't. The thing with logic is that you need facts and you need proof in order to come up with what is called a logical argument. If what you have is just a bunch of circumstantial evidence, or just simply straight up blind belief or hearsay, or just simply a bunch of books that can't be proven, you have nothing to stand on logically or factually, no matter how right it may be. No matter how much you think that it's like, I know it deep down inside, it's right, I know I'm right. Okay, congratulations, you know you're right, but if you can't prove it, what's the point? One example I like to give is, let's say you know for a fact, there's a couple that are friends of yours, and you know the husband's cheating on the wife, and you're trying to convince the wife that your husband is cheating on you, but yet this woman is completely devoted to him and totally in love with him, and she refuses to accept anything you have to say in the matter. Now let's say all you really have is a gut feeling. You know what he's done in the past, but you just get a feeling he's cheating again because maybe he's out late at night a lot. He seems to be neglecting the wife a hell of a lot more. He seems to be happier when he's out or whatever. And you just get the feeling that, oh shit, he's up to his old tricks again. But you got no concrete evidence. You don't have any pictures. You don't have a name. You don't have a phone number, nothing to link him to another woman. So even though you're trying to convince the wife that, man, I think your husband's cheating on you, I think you need to watch him, if you don't have any proof, you don't have any real way of convincing her. So no matter how right you may be, and you're probably dead right, he's probably up to his old tricks again, since you have no proof, all you did was set yourself up for a fall. She's going to yell at you, probably hate your guts for trying to break up their marriage, or why is such a friend trying to bust up what I'm having, and so on and so forth. I've known people who've gone through this. If you got no proof, you're dead before you even enter the battlefield. This is the position that a religious fanatic is in. Christian, Islam, Hindu, it doesn't matter, because pretty much all the stuff you happen to believe in, and belief is the big word here, believe in, not know. You don't know it, you believe it. The stuff you believe in has no grounding in fact. People, whether it's a scientist, whether it's an archaeologist, even historians, have disproved your stuff time and time again. It's fact. For instance, Christians used to believe that the sky is solid, a completely solid thing, and the moon and the planets and the stars are all kind of like painted on it, and it revolves around the earth. This is one of the reasons why Copernicus and Galileo got into so much trouble, because it was already proven in ancient times that this wasn't true, but they just simply brought it back again in the limelight when the Christian world was, big and dominant and strong, and they were trying to keep people into believing this stuff. The ironic thing is that the church knew it was fake, but they would still, it was like, nah, you're going against the main belief, okay? You're destroying our structure here. So they went against them. We've proven that that's wrong, now Christians believe it. People know that the way animals are classified in the Bible aren't really true in the way it's classified. For instance, bats are not birds, but it says so in the Bible. We can just go on. We know that heaven is another term for sky. Look at different languages and you realize that heaven and sky are interchangeable, because we literally thought that heaven was right above our heads. This is why the image of people in heaven is always in a blue sky area with people on clouds. We've since proven that heaven's not there any more than hell is down there. We've proven that that's not true. So many different people. It's not just science. I mean, Christians and Islamics, all these people are bashing science for proving this, but it's not just science proving it. Archaeologists, historians, your regular everyday average Joe who just observes things, that can prove it's not true. And we finally accepted it because the facts are in your face. But this is so true about just about all your beliefs. It's just a belief. Now, whether you might be able to think it's right or not is not the point. The point is, if you got nothing to back it up, you don't have a leg to stand on. So when you try to argue this and somebody's using logic against you, you automatically lose. So trying to convince us of your views and then using faulty logic to convince us of that is a waste of your time and ours. It really is. You can't come up with anything unless you have hardcore evidence. So in closing, and this is just, I'm saying this for your benefit. I'm not trying to be a jackass here. I'm actually trying to give you something that I think you can use. To the fanatics out there, or if you don't, fanatics too strong a word, for the devoted religious people out there. Stop trying to convince us of your stuff. It's not going to work unless you have some proof. And that's all we've been asking for to begin with. Catch you guys later.